Hello, Emily. Thank you for joining us this evening. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing pretty good, pretty good. Um, so I wanted to ask you to come on and talk a little bit about what you're doing at the farmers market. But before we get into that, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself, what your role is there currently, and what your day-to-day looks like?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm the market administrator for the Saratoga Farmers Market. That's our way of saying market manager. I've been in this role for just over a year now. I started in April 2019. And so my job entails both offsite and on-site work. So once we have the markets, I make sure all the logistics run smoothly, everything runs okay, and then offsite I do things like promotions, normally things like event planning, which is not currently a thing, and any kind of community outreach that's involved in market work.
Great. And then, do you mind? I guess we kind of want to get away from the whole COVID-19 conversation. It seems like that's the only conversation we're having, but
Yeah,
can you talk a little bit about how your operations have been impacted by that?
yeah, absolutely. First off, I would say we're very lucky to be open right now and be running. Fortunately, farmers markets in New York State have been designated as essential businesses, so we took 1 week off, and since late March, we've been back on the road and doing our market every week. We actually just opened the start of May. We opened our summer season, so now we're running 2 markets a week. So that's a Wednesday market, Wednesday afternoons, and Saturday, sorry,
Yeah.
Saturday mornings. And we also will, once June comes around, we'll be opening our Clifton Park Farmers Market as well. So we're busy. We have our hands full. We're very lucky to be operating, and the public's been great coming out, but adhering to social distancing rules that are in place right now. Our market is not quite the same thing that it usually is. It's not the social fun hub that it is for the community, but we're lucky to be able to provide our essential services in just providing fresh food to the community.
Emily, you moved your location to the Wilton Mall, the Saturday one anyway. Is Wednesday also at
Yep.
the mall?
Yeah, so for our winter season, we went to the Wilton Mall, and that ended in April. As I said, that was only a Saturday market, but at that point, it did become clear that we're going to have to adhere to these social distancing rules for a while. Thankfully, the Wilton Mall has been able to provide us with a lot of space, and I think that's just really important to us right now to be able to distance our vendors and to keep our customers kind of at ease. So we've been able to both move our Wednesday and Saturday summer markets to the Wilton Mall. We're just operating right now in a parking lot just outside the Bowtie Cinemas. And we've been very lucky with the Wilton Mall management. Has been really great to let us have that space and to let us operate. So yeah, we're currently at the Wilton Mall, and we're looking for our entire summer season. We're looking forward to being there.
Oh, nice, nice. Has it been difficult for you? Just the change, I guess, trying to, like, I mean, to some degree, even though it's the same, you have a lot of the same vendors and a lot of the same customers, like the space itself is quite different. Like I was there on Saturday in the cold and the wind, and there's a lot of space between the vendors, which is great, but also kind of, different.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I think farmers markets, especially out of any kind of food service places, there's such a social and just, communal place usually. So it's been hard for us not to be able to do that, not to be able to do our normal activities. We usually have things like kids activities. We usually have music. We're not allowed right now to do that. So it's definitely a different site to be operating in a parking lot right now versus our quaint pavilions in High Rock Park where we usually are for the summer. So it's definitely been a change, and it does definitely look different. There's space between vendors. It's not it's not as tight and fun as it usually might be, but it's certainly working for us right now. I think right now this is the best place we could be in. So, you know, especially with the mall being closed right now as well, it's there is so much space that's just kind of open right now. It's been really great to fill that in.
I had a question about the vendors. Now, has COVID-19 impacted the number of the turnout of vendors you've had, or has everybody who signed up pretty more or less been able to show up and deliver their goods?
Yeah, so per New York State guidelines, we're actually right now not able to accept our non-food vendors to vend. So people like craft vendors, some other non-food vendors, they're not able to vend right now, which we've been you know, very sad to see, because for a lot of those people, the farmers markets are their big business. We don't know quite now when that will lift. We're hoping with the phases that, you know, Governor Cuomo's starting to introduce, that we'll be able to have our vendors back. But I would say, you know, a few of our food vendors as well haven't been able to show up quite as consistently as they normally would have, just because everyone's struggling in other areas. You know, things like staffing has been harder for people to keep. And I would say as well, just with everyone figuring out their different avenues of trying to just get their product out any way they can, it's been, in a certain way, for some people, it's been just almost too many things to juggle. So the farmers markets are obviously, like, we're very lucky to be able to operate, but for some of our farmers, it's almost too much business in a way, just in terms of they don't always have the resources. They are very small farms, very small producers. So that's been hard, I think. But I think usually in the past few weeks, we've had I would say about 80% of our vendors come in. So the last few Saturdays, we've had about 50 vendors, and on Wednesdays, we've had about 10 to 15.
Wow. And then, so this is at your the Wilton location that you're currently operating. Do you anticipate the same type of turnout for Clifton Park when in June, or do you have any feel at all for that?
Yeah, so our Clifton Park market is usually a very steady market. We have about I think we'll have about 6 vendors this year, which is just a couple less than usual. And since we do start that season a little later, we always started in June. It's been a little easier just to do the preparation for that. And we're also in a parking lot there by the Methodist Church, so we do have enough space, thankfully, to be able to really separate those vendors out and keep a big space. So that we're anticipating that to run like normal, but just with our social distancing rules in place.
Nice. Emily, do you anticipate once the nice weather happens, because I think that we've had an unseasonably cold spring.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this last Saturday, it was, you know, I mean, we woke up to snow, and it was like the wind was, I mean, it was blowing over displays there. Do you think that once more people start showing up, that you might have an issue trying to maintain the social distancing? Like, you know, I mean, because it's probably going to be pretty busy at some point.
Yeah, you know, especially our summer season, it does very much correlate with the weather, how many people we have turn out. And that's always the case. You know, that goes along with just the kind of fun atmosphere. People like to be out on a good day. We've been actually very lucky to see just how many people have still turned out, even with the absolute terrible weather we've had so far. As you said, it was snowing last Saturday. That was quite something. That was not fun to set up in. And you might have seen the lack of tents that day, because we had to take them all down because of the wind. But we do think that that, you know, come better weather, we do usually always expect more customers to come out. Also, just, you know, once summer vacation hits, which is not even that far off, just people have more time and show up a lot more. But Right now, that's kind of a funny thing because that's where we strive towards. It's our best few months of the market, and right now I do, we've had conversations with it just internally in terms of what we'll have to do if too many people show up at some point. We do currently have specially designated entrances and exits where we're hoping to kind of monitor the traffic that comes in. But, if it does turn out to be some kind of unsafe situation, we'd rather limit the amount of customers that comes in at any point than to have that unsafe situation.
Right.
Just a curious question. You've because some of the vendors aren't allowed to show up. Are you expediting? Like, wasn't there a waiting list for vendors who are selling food, and because the non-food vendors can't show up, do you open space for them now, or how does that work?
Yeah, we actually have. So usually, as you said, we have a waiting list. I think there's about maybe 5 to 10 vendors on that now, which is a pretty usual number for our summer season. And we have been looking at, whatever products we're currently lacking a little bit at the market. We've been looking at those waiting lists and seeing if we're able to bring some new vendors in. It's hard to, because we do, we do really value our vendors who have been with our market for a very long time, and we would never want to get to overcapacity where we can't invite people back. So that's definitely a balance in terms of wanting to make sure that all the products are represented at the market, and making sure that we're serving our vendors as well as we can. So we're certainly looking at that on a very case-by-case basis. And as you said, like it'll depend too on just which products people on the waiting list would be bringing into the market, and if those are represented right now or not.
Have you seen a difference in the amount of supplies that people are bringing to sell? Is that impacted at all?
I would say the amount, it's hard for our small producers to scale up quite as much as just the demand has grown, honestly, at the farmers market. People are trying, but there's honestly almost too many avenues, as I said earlier, to bring their product to. But yeah. I will say that some of our vendors, have gotten a little more creative. Like, I'll give the example of some of our distillers are now making hand sanitizer, and that's something they were not doing at all before. But now they've used their own alcohol, and they're able to make hand sanitizer. And per New York State law, they're specifically allowed to sell that at the farmers market. So that's been really fun to see, and just how some of these vendors have kind of changed their focus towards what's really in demand right now.
Thank you.
Interesting. Yeah, I noticed on Saturday a lot of the meat was gone. When you so a lot of vendors are like, they'll have like meat and cheese, or like, I think that the mushroom guys usually have some meat too. And you look at their list of things they have available, and they're things that like only certain people would use. Like, I feel like certain chefs that have the ability to cook with these more rare kinds of meats and things like that. But the more popular things were fully sold out. And I think that's, and I don't know if that is because of local restaurants and people that would normally be using these farms to do farm to table kind of meals. If it's them who are buying all the product, or what. I mean, obviously you can't grow cows and pigs as quickly as you can other crops, but
I would say we've definitely seen, you're saying meats, we've seen a very, very high demand in eggs as well. I would say those two products or product categories are definitely the ones that have been selling out the quickest. So the approach we try to take with that is, on the one hand, we want to kind of encourage shoppers to try those things that they might not usually use, and kind of come up with ways to use those products that you might not even know how to use them. as well as we're trying to, some of our vendors are bringing in things like starter plants, so encouraging people to, even start their own gardens right now. But I will say that, as I said before, our small producers, it's been very hard for them to scale up quite as much as demand asks for right now. And with the meat vendors specifically, you've probably heard about the amount of and I've heard specifically from our vendors that it's just very, very hard to even get appointments at slaughterhouses right now, because that whole industry is taking a big hit. So the supply chain is definitely taken a hit in the meat industry specifically. For other products, things like eggs, we're just looking at different vendors and seeing if they can bring in more, or vendors who might not usually bring those in, see if they can bring in more eggs and things like that.
Really cool though that people are, despite the terrible situation, that they have to do this, through. But like it's awesome that people are, and probably people that would normally go to the farmers market, are going there and buying fresh vegetables. I know you've got Saratoga apple there. They're buying things, prepared foods from local people, that are right in their backyard and have been this whole time. I mean, it's pretty awesome that people are still supporting them, and that there's that demand that exists.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I've been hearing from so many of our vendors, they all have their different stories, but for instance, our Saturday opening day this season, start of May, we actually, many of our vendors had a record-breaking market. Just across all the years they've been doing the farmers markets, this one was one of the best. And just the amount of support and gratitude that we see from the community right now for our local producers being there and still doing their work has been really, really nice to see, because I think that that oftentimes might not be quite the population who gets the most praise, and they're still working as hard as they always do and trying to make sure the supply gets to the customer. And yeah, we've definitely seen people who, it seems like they've never been to the market before. It seems like they're just finding out about us, so that's been really great. And I would say as well, we at the market, we offer SNAP benefits. So we offer people who have SNAP benefits and an EBT card to use their funds at the market, and that demand actually has increased quite a bit. We're seeing people who've never been at our market and have never used that at our market before, are now coming in and finding out about it. So that's been really cool to see, just that people are now reaching out to more local producers. Yeah.
That's awesome. Has that always been a thing for you guys? You've always offered that?
Yeah. So we always offer that. One thing we offer with that is through New York State, there's this program that gets you, for every $5 that they spend with their SNAP benefits, you get $2 extra in a coupon. So that's always been a thing, but it's been really great, especially now that a lot of people are struggling, just to kind of show them that they can get just a little extra bang for their buck at the market. And it's something we're still working on right now to kind of create more of a campaign to make sure that people know about this and that we're reaching the right populations. And that's always been hard for us, but it's definitely worth it right now, because we're seeing that a lot of people are just needing to use these services, and we're very glad to be able to provide them right now.
So how would someone go about using them? Like, can they just go to any vendor and say that they have this card, and can they use it, or do they have to go through you first?
Yeah, so they would come to the market table where I am, right by the entrance, and they basically, we just swipe their EBT card, and we give them market tokens for that. So that's the wooden tokens that we used to actually do all the transactions with at the market. We've now switched to cash and credit, but for SNAP benefits, we still do those tokens. So those come in $1 and $5 increments, and then we also give those $2 coupons with it. And then they're able to spend that on just about any product besides non-food, alcohol, and prepared food. Those are the main categories that are excluded from that. But fresh produce, meats, eggs, anything like that is included on that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Are you having other organizations in the community who coordinate with you to get farm produced products out to the public, or do you know any other outlets that are being used for farmers to reach the public?
Sure. Well, one thing we've actually done for quite a few years now is we work together with the Franklin Community Center right in Saratoga, and we do, at the end of each market, we have one of our vendors goes around and collects for their food pantry. So that's something that we continue to do right now, and we're really seeing that's especially now appreciated. That's always appreciated, but right now it's really something they can use. So that's one of our biggest partners in terms of community organizations. But as I said, we've been doing that for years now. I can't think of anyone else. It's been hard for everyone. You know, our usual partners that we usually do things like activities with, a lot of them are closed, like the public library or any of those kind of organizations. So it's been hard for them to link up with our market like they usually do. Yeah.
And so you personally, we can shift gears just a little bit. How did you become involved with working with farmers markets?
So that's a funny story. I actually went to Skidmore College in Saratoga, so I graduated there in 2018. And my last semester there, I was doing an internship with the Children's Museum in Saratoga. And we just went to the farmers market a couple of times to do kids' activities, which was very fun, but was not at all what I was trained in. I was studying environmental studies, so I was definitely more into the sustainability track, and I saw that at the farmers market, and I saw how just fun of a community it was. It's really a fun community, and it's made up of people who are so passionate and so knowledgeable about what they do and what they grow, and just that link to local food systems I think is so important. So that's kind of why I ventured into working with the Saratoga Farmers Market, and I was very glad to, I graduated right as they had an opening for this position. So I was able to hop on that very, very thankfully. So it's been really cool to see, and I'm still learning so much about our local food system and, you know, what's going on in New York upstate. And so it's been a very, very good and educational job for me to have.
Awesome. I love the farmers market. Farmers market's one of my favorite places to go. I leave there with like a chopped bag of food. I go home and I've got like a weird mushroom that I've never heard of before, and like a weird color carrot, and like, you know, honey and something else. And I'm like, wow, I have no idea what I'm going to do with it, but I'm still very excited.
That's the fun thing about it. It's, you know, it really encourages people to experiment with. I'll give the example right now. We have fiddleheads and ramps at the market, and that's something you don't usually really get at the grocery store. I never knew what to do with them until I just bought them at the market, and I don't want them to go bad, so I figured I'd have to kind of look up what to do with them. And things like that are just very fun to you know, make healthy food kind of fun for yourself, and really take that time for yourself to make yourself a good meal, and support local in the process.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I need to do. I was just telling Megan before you came on that I've gained the COVID 20. I don't have the 19. I gained 20 probably already.
Yeah.
And so I gotta get some fresh produce and walk around the market.
There's so much there, dude. I bought, like, first of all, I spent like a legit fortune. I bought like 10 tomato plants. I bought like all my herbs. Like I bought like a bottle of honey like this big. I bought maple syrup. I bought lion's mane mushrooms, which I made crab cakes out of. So like you can, the lion's mane mushrooms supposedly taste like seafood.
Yeah.
I made, like, they were great. The mushroom guys are awesome.
That's awesome.
I definitely have a lot of fun. You can pickle ramps, so I bought some ramps.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's a trap too, because on the one hand you'll get all your leafy greens and feel good about yourself, and then there's a big tray of lasagna looking good, and
Oh man,
it's a
definitely going
minefield, but
now.
it's a good minefield.
The chocolate spoon, all those desserts. I bought like 5 thank you boxes of chocolate chip cookies, and then I had to buy like myself some stuff too. Yeah, it was.
Has everybody here eaten dinner yet?
No, I'm really
Okay.
thinking about it now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know. Yeah, me too.
got
Okay,
some
so
fiddleheads waiting for me.
yeah, yeah. So I want
Sorry.
to ask you or give you an opportunity to, is there anything that you think is important to discuss right now? Any information you would like to get out to people, before we get off so far onto food and everything?
Yeah, I mean, I'll get off my high horse soon, but I do just want to, really emphasize the point of just how important supporting local is right now. A lot of our organizations and restaurants and stores in our community are having a really hard time right now, and they've been so innovative in figuring out different ways to get their product to the consumer. And again, we're so lucky to be open right now, but I would say that the way we're open right now would not be possible with the amount of support we've gotten from our community. And just, we're all seeing so much how supporting local is really important right now. And it's been a hell of a time, but it's been so great to see the community of Saratoga coming together in that even on a very, very windy and snowy Saturday in May, we still got one of the best turnouts. So we're very thankful for that. I think gratitude is the biggest thing I can leave with. Yeah. But yeah, no, I think that's it for me. I mean, I really appreciate you guys making this series and just spotlighting some of our local organizations. So really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it too. I do want to ask you before you get off,
Mhm.
do you want to leave people with any information as far as how to get involved with the farmers market or contact you?
Sure, yeah. So the best place to get just updated information right now would be either our website, which is saratogafarmersmarket.org, or our Facebook and Instagram pages where we're keeping updated every week. And I would say, reach out to all the other farmers markets in the region as well. We're all doing our best with what we can right now. So they're all great markets. So I'd support them all. And yeah, in terms of getting involved, we always look for some more volunteers if we can. So you can find that on our website as well. Again, saratogafarmersmarket.org. If you're interested in helping us out and helping out our mission and getting local food to consumers.